Prisoner B-3087. Chapter 18. Auschwitz Concentration Camp, 1945. Chapter 19, actually, not Chapter 18. After a few months at Birkenau, we were told Auschwitz needed workers. Since Auschwitz was nearby, a sister camp to Birkenau, they marched us down the road and across the fields to get there. Our capo stopped us at a station, where we waited for new prisoners to join us. You could tell they were new because they stepped off the trains in real clothes, not camp uniforms, with their luggage and children in tow. "Leave your luggage," the Nazis told them. "Why? We were told to bring it with us," they argued. The Nazis promised them it would all be returned to them in due time, and the prisoners believed them. The Nazis loved having new prisoners who didn't know what was coming. It amused them. I could only feel sorry for these new arrivals. They had no idea the waking nightmare that lay in wait for them. "Have you heard of Auschwitz?" our capo asked the new prisoners. "No. Someone's waiting for you inside." "Do you know who?" "Death. Of course. Death waits for you. Look and see." The new prisoners kept their distance from us veteran prisoners as we were herded toward the main gate. They looked at us with wide eyes and pulled their children away from us. Did we look like monsters to them? I glanced around at the other prisoners who had come with me from Birkenau. We were skin and bones, with shaved heads and shuffling gaits and red skin on our arms where they tattooed us. Our eyes were sunk into our heads. Our ears stuck out like donkey ears, and we must have smelled wretched. Though, of course, we'd all been long accustomed to our stench. I was 15, maybe 16, and I looked like a 60-year-old man. To these people just off the train, we all must have looked like escaped mental asylum patients, with our shaved heads and our wooden shoes and oversized blue and gray striped uniforms. If they only knew that this was what awaited them, if they weren't taken right to the gas chambers and the furnaces. We stood under the front gates of Auschwitz, where the German words "Arbeit macht frei" were written above the gate. I knew enough German to translate it. Work makes you free. A smiling SS guard told us a very different story as we passed. "You come in through the front gate," he said, "but the only way out is through the chimney." I looked up with the new prisoners to the top of the brick chimneys, where thick black smoke poured out into the blue-white sky. The crematorium. Little flecks of gray fluttered down all around us, collecting on puddles of water in the yard. I watched a little girl in a blue dress catch one on her tongue like snow. I didn't have the heart to tell her it was the ashes of the people who had come before us. I recognized the assembly yard before they ever told us what it was. They all looked the same, a big muddy field surrounded by barbed wire fence, with a bullet-ridden brick wall, especially for executions. Auschwitz prisoners in charge of crowd control organized us into a single-file line. One of them shambled up the line, whispering urgent advice. "You're 18, you're in good health, and you have a trade. You're 18, you're in good health, and you have a trade." "What?" said the man in front of me. He wore black trousers and a black vest over a clean white shirt, and he stood with his wife and their young son. The boy couldn't have been more than 10. "What did that man say? Why should I tell them I'm 18? "Your boy," I said. "Tell them your boy is 18 and has a trade." They recoiled when they saw me, monster that I was. See if you don't look the same in a year, I thought. "But what? But that's preposterous. He's 9. He's just a boy," the woman said. I left it. A Nazi soldier was walking by, and I wasn't going to get caught talking. We had been lined up so someone at the table ahead could process us, and slowly I made my way to the front. 3 Nazi officers sat at the table. The 2 officers on the sides wore brown shirts and pants, but the man in the middle wore the black of a senior officer. He looked immaculate, with a shining black cap, polished medals, and neat white gloves like a traffic policeman. No one was so clean in a camp ever, not even the camp commandants. This was a man of importance, I could tell right away. He held a baton in his right hand, and with a flick of it to the left or right, he was separating the line. One direction, I knew, would be for the camp work detail. The other would be for the furnaces. "Good material this time," I heard him say as we got closer. "Yes, Herr Dr. Miguel," one of the brown shirts told him. "Next," Miguel told the family in front of me. "How old are you?" "I'm 39, my wife is 36, and our son is 9, the man told Miguel. "Are you healthy?" Miguel asked the man. "Yes, only my wife had pneumonia recently, and she is still weak from it." I closed my eyes. The man was telling them too much and not the right things. "Your occupation?" Miguel asked. "I am a clerk." "Not anymore," Miguel told him. He waved his baton to the right for the man and to the left for the woman and the little boy. Capos came and pulled them apart. "Wait, where are you taking them?" the man asked, looking terrified. "Papa," the boy cried. He reached for his father, but an SS officer pulled him and his mother away, while another officer pushed the father to the right. "Next," Miguel said to me. "How old are you?" I stood as tall as I could. 18, I lied. "Are you healthy?" "As an ox," I lied again. It was all I could do not to waver as I stood. "What is your occupation?" I could hardly tell them student. The man before had said clerk, and he'd been lucky they'd kept him. "Bricklayer," I lied again. Herr Dr. Miguel pointed his baton to the right, and I joined the ranks of the other men and women who'd been kept for work. At least I hoped that was the group I had been assigned to. Besides, the older prisoners like me looked pathetically weak and incapable of any kind of real labor. "Where are they taking my wife and son?" the man who had been ahead of me asked a capo. The capo cuffed him with his club, making the man's lip bleed. "They're going to the gas chambers. Now shut up unless you want to join them." For a moment, it looked like the man might say that he would. "Save your own life," someone whispered behind him. "Just let them go. It's better for them this way." "How can I let them go?" the man cried. "They're my family. I love them." But he stayed where he was, holding the back of his hand to his bleeding lip as he wept. When the selection was finished, one of the brown shirts addressed our group. "Herr Dr. Miguel was done for the day." "Prisoners," the brown shirt said, "you are fortunate. You are strong enough to have been selected for work. Once all the Jews of Europe are collected into our camps, we will organize a new Jewish state for you, where you will be free." The new prisoners looked at one another hopefully. Some of them, like the man who'd been in front of me in line, no doubt thought this meant that his wife and son were still alive and just taken to a different part of the camp. They didn't know the games the Nazis played yet, the lies they told us for sport. "You will be happy to know, too, that your stay here in the camp will cost you nothing. All the valuables you brought with you at this moment are at this moment being distributed among the camps, where they will be used exclusively for the benefit of the Jews." Another lie. At Birkenau, we had seen these stockpiles of riches in Canada, this camp storehouse. We had seen how the Nazis made the warehouse their own personal shopping center before shipping trainloads of gold and silver back to Berlin. "Work," the officer urged us. "Work will set you free. If you work hard, if you perform your duties faithfully, you will be attached to the Wehrmacht as service personnel. From there, you may even earn positions of authority within the new Jewish state." The new prisoners nodded, buying it hook, line, and sinker. I didn't have the heart to tell any of the new Jews it was all a pack of lies when the roll call was finished and we were sent to our new barracks. No one did. The new prisoners would learn soon enough, and they would accept the truth or they would die. That night, as I lay in the middle slot of my 3-tiered bunk, I heard voices in the distance singing. I couldn't believe it, and I lifted my head to hear better. It was a lullaby my mother had sung to me when I was a child, but it sounded like it was being sung by a choir. Had I finally lost my mind? Was I going crazy? "It's the women," the man next to me in the bunk whispered. They sing when mothers and their children are taken to the gas chambers. I listen to their song, distant and plaintive. How often do they sing? I asked. All day, the man said. All day and every night.